you give me to the end of this video, I'm going to shave real time and stress off of your autism evaluation day. So here's exactly how to prep for it. Hi there. I'm Dr. James Thatcher. I'm a licensed clinical psychologist at Forest Psychological Clinic in Portland, Oregon, and we do comprehensive autism, ADHD, and learning evaluations. This video is educational and not medical advice. By the end of this video, you're going to know what to bring, who should fill out the forms, a comfort plan so that the testing day goes well, and I'm going to give you a bonus step so that when you get the report, the information that we have is even clearer. So for this first step, let's go over the different documents that you need to prepare and send in either prior to the evaluation or bring in on the day of the evaluation. So here we have what's called intake paperwork. And on that intake paperwork, we're going to be asking about family history, developmental history, medications, who you've been seeing in therapy, what are some ongoing concerns. Your clinic should have something similar, and if they don't, then prepare these things ahead of time. Make a medication list of all the different things that you're taking or your child is taking so that your physician or the psychologist and the testing evaluator knows what they're on. Another thing to bring is any developmental or medical history. So going over any milestones that they had. So were they delayed in speech? Did it take them a while to walk? Did they have to go to occupational therapy? Did they go to speech therapy? Gathering up some of these records. And if you have any of those past evaluations, either through speech or OT or even prior psychological or neuropsychological testing, sharing that with the psychologist, sharing that with your evaluator. I always encourage parents or even adults who are seeking an autism assessment, send that to me prior to the assessment. That way I can review it, and the day of testing will go way smoother. That way you don't have to repeat yourself. I already know all this information. Other documents that you can bring in for children, or even if you still have them, is an IEP or a 504 plan. And that is where the school does their own testing. And a lot of what I'm going to be looking for is testing that they did to where maybe I don't need to do it if it's been a short amount of time. If it was done a while ago, I can compare the day's scores to those scores. Also, another thing that I'm going to be looking at in those other reports is any behavioral observations. Especially if I'm looking for autism, I'm going to be looking for any social difficulties, any sort of stereotypies that may have been going on, any fixations that keep popping up, missing social cues with other kids. What are their friendships like? How they're interacting with other people. I'm going to be looking at all those different behaviors. Another thing to make sure that was done prior to the evaluation is any sort of questionnaires or assessments that your evaluator sent you ahead of time. So a couple of things that we send ahead of time is the BASC, a behavioral assessment. So making sure that not only you complete that, but the teacher completes that as well. If you're an adult, completing what's called the ABAS, that's an adaptive behavior measure. Other clinics may use something called the Vineland. I really like the ABAS, the adaptive behavior measure that I was just talking about, to where it has a lot more scales. I can really drill down on different adaptive behaviors, any strengths and weaknesses, how impairing are, what may be the diagnoses on your overall functioning. I can really take a good look at that. So making sure that not only you've completed that, but any collateral information that we sent that to or you sent that to has also completed it. Again, it just makes the day way smoother. I can score it ahead of time. I already know what's going on. I'm already getting really good data before the patient even walks into the room. Another thing to make sure is lined up before you come into the appointment. If you're a child, the parent is usually going to be there. Someone's got to drop them off, right? But with an adult, having someone available that day. And I go over this in the consultation. We remind them via email. If you're an adult, ideally someone that knew you when you were younger, like a parent or an older sibling or a long-term friend. If that's not possible, or if they're not a good reporter or an accurate reporter, then having someone that knows you more nowadays that can corroborate some of the information that I'll be gathering the day of. And that could be a spouse, a friend, a roommate, what have you. And I should say, at least for our clinic, that collateral information, that other adult, does not need to be there or be here on that day. I usually let patients know to tell their collateral information, their parent, their partner, what have you, whomever they pick, to be available for about 45 minutes to an hour. And we can give them a call, and I'll just put them on speakerphone and I'll interview them alongside the patient. So now let's go over that comfort plan. So what do I mean by a comfort plan? By a comfort plan, I'm talking about what's going to get you in the right mindset so you're most relaxed and engaged that day. Let's start with the basics, right? Getting a good night's rest prior, making sure that you don't stay up, doom scrolling, watching movies or playing video games or what have you, making sure that you go to bed on time and you try to get a good night's rest. And I realize these evaluations are very anxiety provoking for folks, but just trying. Eating something that you're very comfortable with and you're familiar with, and that gives you the fuel to go throughout the day. Please don't skip breakfast. Also, I prefer, unless we're testing and I give some specific information to the patient, if they're looking to rule something specific out, 95% of the time, I tell people, take the medications that you were prescribed. The only instance that I can see myself saying, don't do that, is if they were already diagnosed with something and they don't think that that's going on and they're taking a specific medication that treats that issue, then I might ask them to not take it. And that's a big might. But the vast majority of the time, take the medication that you were prescribed. Another thing to bring is a comfort kit. So this can include noise-canceling headphones, bringing a game like on your iPad. It can mean bringing snacks or water or your favorite drink or some coffee, anything and everything to where, you're going to have breaks throughout the day. So something that helps you decompress. And I should say, with parents bringing in their kids, most of the time, if I were doing therapy with someone, I would say, hey, let's not bribe them. But for an evaluation, I'm a total hypocrite when it comes to that. I say bribe them because we need to get through the day. So if your child really likes video games and that's what's going to keep them occupied while you and I talk about them, bring it. And bring some noise-canceling headphones too, so we can be blunt with one another and you can feel open in talking to me about what's going on with your child and they're busy focused on the video game and not what you're saying about them. Go ahead and bribe them on the day of this evaluation. But when the evaluation is over, go back to not bribing them and being a good parent. And please, please, please tell me when you need a break. We will take natural breaks throughout the day. And I'm speaking just for myself. I have been doing this for such a long time. I can go because I get this evaluation done in a day. Feel free to interrupt me, to tell me I'm done right now. I need a break. People have done that before. I do not take offense. Just go and enjoy yourself and decompress. Another thing that I get commonly asked is what's like an expectation script that I can tell my kid or teen? What's something that I can tell them to get them kind of prepared for the day? So usually what I tell parents is just make it developmentally appropriate for them and you know your child best, but essentially say that, hey, we're going to go see a doctor. He's going to ask you questions and do puzzles and play games. And the purpose of that is to help us figure out how best to help you. Another way that I phrase it, especially to like younger kids, is you're going to go see the fun doctor. Because again, we're going to play games. And I kind of like to call myself that as the fun doctor. I don't give shots. And I tell patients that I do not give shots. In fact, I'm a huge baby when it comes to shots. When I have to take a shot, I look the other way and have the person tell me, about their day. I don't want to know about when it goes in or what they're doing. I can't handle it. Um, so that's why I'm a fun doctor and I don't give shots. And for adults who are a little nervous coming in, I tell them, hey, we're going to take breaks, as many as you need. I want you to be able to ask me clarifying questions as we go along. If anything is confusing for you, just tell me. Another thing that helps people prepare is to look at the logistics. So look prior to your evaluation, like where's the clinic located? Where can I park? Who do I talk to if I have a question? Do I have the phone number ready in case I get lost? So prepping ahead of time. And for certain folks, where going to a new location is very anxiety provoking, it is totally okay to come to our clinic prior to your evaluation just to know what it looks like. And of course, after your visit. So when you're all done with testing, some folks don't give feedback till a couple of days or a week or two later. So ask about that. When should I expect feedback and schedule that time with them? What's the turnaround time on this report? Is it going to be in a week? Is it going to be in 2 weeks? Is it going to be in a month? How long can I expect for you to write that report up? Here, I write the report up within a week. Folks get it pretty darn quick, and I give feedback the same day. Other clinicians don't run it that way. Sometimes it takes them a day or two. Sometimes it takes them a couple weeks to go over all the data, sit with it, really pull things together, and be very thorough. I think I'm very thorough because I've been doing this for such a long time. That's why I can do it so fast, but I do it very efficiently as well. And another thing to do is write down any questions that you want answered during feedback. If your evaluator is good, the vast majority of the time, those questions are going to be answered already during their feedback. But just to be sure, write down any burning questions that you want to make sure get answered. All right, and now let's go into that bonus step that really helps people is make a symptom list. What can be overwhelming, especially for adults, but even parents too, is that they want to make sure that they get all of the symptoms, that they get everything out that day, because coming in, it's anxiety provoking. It can be a lot. So what I tell folks, especially when I pick up that there's a lot of anxiety when I do the consult with them on the phone, is between now and when we meet, make a running list of all the different symptoms that you're doing now, when you were younger, what you remember, put in stories, share examples, anything and everything. That way, throughout the day, when something pops into your mind, you can write it down or go on your phone and put it in the notes so that you remember and you don't have to hold on to that information. And then when you come in, you're so nervous you can't remember it. It's written down, it's in black and white, and then you're able to share that with me. And another thing that I offer folks is make that running list, and then the day prior to your evaluation, send it to me. That way, when I come in early that morning and I start preparing on your report and I start preparing on the case for that day, I already know some of the symptoms and some of the different behaviors and the examples that you were going to share. And that saves me so much time. It truly, truly does. I love that information. I have gotten checklists like that before that are 20 pages long. And sometimes the patient apologizes for that, and I tell them, no, don't apologize. This was a gift. This was amazing. I love this sort of information. So just to recap, I know all this information was quite a lot. It's a lot of preparation work, but this is a big deal. This is a life-changing evaluation. So, and I take it very seriously. So make sure all those documents are filled out. Make sure that your informant is ready to go that day. Have a comfort plan in place. Go over expectations with your child or teen or even with yourself. And going over logistics prior, making sure that you have the right parking spot, the right location. And any after test questions. And of course, that bonus step that I just shared with you, writing out all the symptoms prior, whether it's for yourself or your child or your teen, making sure that you get all your thoughts lined out. So if you walk in ready, you're going to walk out with clear answers that day. And if you want to see the whole process from start to finish on what an autism evaluation looks like, check out this video where I'm going to go over everything step by step.